Super. So, an exciting week in Fluid Pool. Thank you, everybody, for hanging on in there. We've now hitting the good times. It's all going to be up from here. My early delegators have been very faithful and stayed around through a very slow start. But we are 18 months into the pool now, and things are starting to move. So I'm just going to open up the chat on our Hangout call, and in fact, I put it into the Fluid Pool channel. I actually created a bit of an itinerary because there was too much for me to try and remember, and you'll just be forgetting stuff. So, our Fluid Pool stake pool operator bond is now filled. So, for anybody who doesn't know, there's a new platform launched on Cardano called Optim Finance. New, it's a couple of months old, and they are providing a lending platform for Cardano. So this lets you put up some collateral for a loan, and that can be like in this case on Optim Finance. This is you putting up ADA and guaranteeing that you'll pay interest on the loan that you're receiving for a 12-month period, 72 epochs. An epoch is 5 days. So about a year, you'll be able to borrow a chunk of ADA. And if you're a stake pool operator, they've got a special type of bond called an SPO bond, and you can borrow 1 million ADA. So that's what I've done. And so for the next 12 months, we'll have 1 million ADA pledged to the pool. That will mean that the pool will regularly mint blocks. So we'll be able to have a reward paid out to all delegators as part of the layer 1 on Cardano, where the payments out are just part of the protocol. That will be happening from probably an epoch and a half. So about in 5 days plus what a day to the next epoch boundary. So in a week's time, basically, we should start getting regular rewards. They'll be smaller than they have been previously, but they'll be every 5 days. So that's a very positive thing for any pool to get to that point, because then you are really more likely to attract delegation, because people like to see rewards, like to stick their head into a pool, see the reward come in, and then if they find another cause that they're interested in, or someone doing a project they're interested in, then they'll move on. So now people won't discount us, and they'll come into the pool hopefully excited, because we're of a size that means we'll be minting blocks regularly, and they can check us out, see what we're about, look at the mission behind the pool. So as most of you know, every day a delegator is with the pool. At the moment, we've got a charitable offer going on where the pool will pay for a day's internet access for students in Ethiopia. So we've been doing that for about a year. Well, when did we start? It's July last year, or the year before. I'm losing my timelines. No. Yes, I've been a member since July the year before, and payouts started when the pool went live. So from about September, November time, and we've paid out. In fact, let me share screen, show you something a bit more interesting than just my mug. Let's get up. So you seen that all right? Cool. So there's our fluid pool, and I want to show you. So the website for the pool is pool.fluid7.com, and here you can get a lowdown on what the pool's all about, why you should get involved in Cardano specifically, and what the differentiators are between our pool, Fluid Pool, and several other pools on the network. There's about 3,500 stake pool operators out there, probably less now, actually, maybe 3.2, because the bear market has meant that some people have had to stop running their pools just because it's expensive activity if you're not making ADA off it. And so you can see this these widgets are showing that we have raised, we made about 4,000 impacts. So each impact they count as one, in this instance, 1 day's worth of internet access. So from the beginning, we've paid for 6,795 days of internet access for these students in Ethiopia. And I like to do that because it's like this whole movement of Cardano is about decentralization, about banking the unbanked, about creating a level playing field for anybody on the planet, no matter where you are. You can start to partake in this global economy that's starting up. And so historically, we've always had the hands in the wealth in the hands of the Northerners and the Westerners. And now there's a real opportunity for the nations that actually have most of the natural resources on Earth to start to recover some of the standard of living that we've been blessed with up north now can start to happen in the rest of the nations as well. And so with this spreading out of the wealth, I really see that as a positive thing for humanity as a whole. How many Einsteins have we had born in villages that never got a chance to see a textbook? We can progress more rapidly if everybody's got a decent leg to stand on. So yeah, the pool has a mission to be an impact pool, to be giving to charity or to be funding projects that make a difference to life as a whole. It's a bigger vision than just a quick way to make a buck, but it is very nice to do that as well. So this is a stake pool page. You can go on there, you can find the stats on the pool, how we're doing, everything like that. There's also links to news articles where I'll drop the latest bits of news if you want to read something a bit more long form. And we've got several chunks of information that have just come out this month. So first off is our SPO bond. So if I show you on Pool PM, we have our new whale delegated to the pool. So that's a picture of a beluga whale if anyone is interested. And the million ADA we'll have for 12 months. Now I've got one more thing to do. I'm going to stick this million ADA in as pledge against the pool, so it'll actually appear under the owner of the pool as well. That way you'll be assured that I'm not going to go and delegate that pool that ADA elsewhere to reap my rewards in somebody else's pool, which would be a bit daft. I'll get it set up as pledge so that you then know that I've committed so I'll be paying approximately 55,000 ADA over the 12 months, and for that we have access to stake a million ADA for those 12 months. That's the sort of the payoff. So it's going to cost us, but we'll be able to have more viability as a pool in the playing field of pools. So that's our million ADA. We've got that, which is very cool, and that will be with us for the year. The offer is open on this Optim Finance platform for anybody to go in to be either a lender or a borrower. So I know that some of you have taken part in this SPO bond because there's a higher rate of return if you're a lender in an SPO bond than there is if you are merely delegating to a pool. There's some payoffs to that in that your ADA that you're lending is now locked in. So you can't get access to that ADA again for 12 months. You've effectively handed the money out of your wallet and put it into the wallet of a smart contract. And that means that you can't control that ADA anymore. You're relying on the code in that smart contract to return it to you when you are owed it. And so there's a bit of more risk involved in getting in lending on Cardano, but you get a higher reward as a result. So typically, if you're delegated to the pool, you're taking part in what's commonly referred to as liquid staking, in that you can give your stake to one pool operator anytime you want to. You can spend that ADA, or you can move that stake to another pool operator. That way it's liquid, it's fluid, you're not locked in. If you get annoyed with me, you can go elsewhere. However, with an SPO bond, you're then locked in. You don't have control of the ADA. You can't say where it goes, how it gets used, and so that's the downside. However, on the upside, you get 5.5% in 5.3% interest guaranteed, and the and the pool that you're lending to gets the benefit of having that ADA locked in and assured a decent size. So if you have participated in Optim Finance, let me jump over to that now. There's one thing you need to do, because you will have become a lender. So if we look at the bonds, these are all the open bonds at the moment. So the ones that have got this this ticker symbol, which is typically referred to with 2 square brackets on either side of up to 5-character name, that is a stake pool ticker. So fluid pools is fluid, and this guy's is 1 Vika, and this is Machi pool. And so you can, these are open bonds, and you can go and lend to Machi pool or 1 Vika, and that way you'll be getting interest, fixed interest, rate of interest on the return of that. If you've done that already, so I went to fluid pool, and I actually delegated 100 ADA to my own bond. That's the kind of guy I am. And so this is my bond positions, and actually I've done it already. So under here, under active bonds to convert, if you have done the same thing, if you've lent some money into that bond, put some money into the bond, then you'll have here an EQT token, which is a native token on Cardano, and it is a signpost to your lending position. So it's something you're given in return for handing over your money to begin with. Now, until that bond is filled, so you've got all the borrowers get together to be able to provide the million ADA. Until that's happened, all you've got is a token that you've put some in. You don't actually have a guarantee that that bond is valid. So when that bond reaches full funded status, which Fluid Pool now has, then you need to take your EQT token and convert it into a BT token, a bond token. And that way you'll be able to exchange your bond token for the interest payments in that bond. Hope that's not overcomplicated things. But all you effectively have to do is come to app.optim.finance, go onto your page, look under your bond positions, under active bonds to convert. You'll have a representation there. It's a panel, looks a bit like this. It's a different jewel logo on it, different gem logo on it, and you'll have the option to convert. So you click convert, sign that transaction, and in your wallet, in your Eternal wallet or whatever you're using, you'll see that native token switch from an EQT token into a BT token. And that way you know that you've done everything you need to take part in the bond for the year, and you're all good. I don't think there's any rush on getting that done, but it's just something you need to do before the bond closes. Now, I've also got a borrow position open where I've borrowed ADA, so I'm paying 5.5%. You're receiving 5.3%, and the difference is going towards paying for the platform itself. And as I'm responsible for this bond, I need to keep my interest payments up. So at the moment, I've got 11 epochs worth of interest paid. And so I'm in the green zone. That's all good. And every epoch or so, I'll go in and top that up so that I'm paying off the interest as we go throughout the year. So you can keep an eye on that for me as well, and shout at me if something looks out of shape. You can ask some probing questions, but we're fine. I've already got that all bundled away in a separate wallet. Also, yes.
Is it possible to post that link in your on the page so I can go to it?
Absolutely. Let me drop it in now.
And not being personal, how do you get your money back? Because obviously the last thing we want to see you do on it is spending your money on something like bringing the pool up, but you lose out yourself?
I mean, this is a business decision for me. So there is money to be made in a saturated pool. So when you've got, and a saturated pool at the moment looks like 63 million ADA staked to your pool. When you're sort of in that region, you'll be minting several blocks every epoch. So, some of the larger pools will do 10, 12 blocks in a single epoch. And they are receiving a portion of the trading fees for minting all those blocks, and that turns into a healthy revenue. So if I end up with a decently saturated pool, then there's no reason why the from that 2.9% portion of the pool rewards that goes to the pool operator, then there's no reason why we shouldn't be having enough for a salary to pay for the pool operations. So the costs will be covered, and also I'll have an additional salary's worth that I can use to grow my business. And so there's a business decision there for me, in that I will gladly borrow money to be able to make money from it. And that's what you do as an entrepreneur, is that you make decisions about if I need to get some leverage to make the most use of an asset or a resource at a particular point in time, then I will pay up front for it, so that over a long term I can reap a benefit. So yeah, so long as the pool gets to a point of saturation, in the sort of 10 million range, then we'll be well into profit. And anything above that will be gravy. So that's what I want to see. So there's a financial incentive for me to make this work, and so by me paying out now, that's on me. That's my call. Nobody has to feel responsible for me making decisions in my life. You just have to partner with me if you think I'm making sensible decisions. And so far, that's what you guys have been doing. So yeah, thanks for the question, Paul. But that's
Well, let's probably get to 20 million then.
yeah, sounds good. Take it to 63. Why not? And
Then,
yes,
sorry to interrupt.
no
Carry
problem,
on,
Archie.
Paul, if there was something else you wanted to say.
No, that was it. Thanks, actually.
I was just thinking, Jonathan, of ways of promoting fluid pool. Have you, like within the Genius U community, and I'm thinking I'm part of Marcus de Maria's kind of crypto club, and sort of investment mastery. Because it would be great. So I'm all in favour of what you're doing. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and for me, it's really important that I know that I'm putting my ADA somewhere which is really worthwhile, and to support you and what you do. And I'm just thinking there's probably lots of other people that is that something that you've thought about? How we can actually spread the word.
Yeah, definitely. And really, we're sort of I've been hesitant to push it too hard, because we weren't of a size that would reap people rewards. And there's nothing more disappointing than staking to a pool, being promised rewards, 5% rewards every 5 days, and then not seeing anything for 2 months, which is where we've been up to this point. And so really, I've been hanging on. I've been waiting for either a delegation from IOG or Cardano Foundation to bump us up to minting block status, or when these self-funded bonds came along, I was like, yeah, that's my shortcut. That's what I need to do. And so now, really, I can start the marketing machine. So we're in IAW. We've already got the good traction with the Opportunity DAO, buying into the Astarter opportunity. That's brought a couple of 100,000 ADA into the pool at least, and the exposure is growing. So I've got several other things that I'll go through today that are the sort of the start of that awareness, that growth in marketing that we plan to do. But yeah, really good ideas. I've been part of Marcus's club as well last year,
Mm.
And so yeah, I mentioned targeting them would be a really good idea.
Yeah, because every 2 weeks they have they have a bi-weekly webinar where they introduce kind of ICO opportunities and things. So it'd be great for you to kind of come on one of those.
Yeah.
So just drop Dennis an email and just say, or I can mention it to Dennis as well.
Yeah, well, two-pronged sounds good to me. We'll both start hassling them. And yeah, there are. I mean, that's the thing. Even like just looking back at Luca, some of the stats that Luca was pointing out this morning, we're a tiny portion of the finance market at the moment, and there's going to be such a flood in that there will be a glut of opportunity, and we positioned ourselves well, I think, to really take advantage of that move. And the best part about promoting a stake pool is that you're offering to make people money on their money, and it's out of my hands. So long as Cardano does well, you will get your payouts, and so it's very risk free from both parties, and it makes it I feel no guilt about promoting Cardano to people because I see the value it's already brought, it is bringing, and I'm very confident in its future. So yeah, it's a very, very nice thing to market rather than trying to sell something you're not too sure on. So yeah, I'm definitely up for that. So in fact,
Yeah. Are you still in the crypto club now then, Jonathan? Are you
the exit status for the crypto club is a bit grey area, so I am still getting emails and things like that, and in invitations to talks,
Yes.
even though I'm actually over my well past my renewal period. So they're very generous in that regard. But yeah, I'm not a member currently, and I haven't got I'm at capacity in terms of my learning. I've got so much going on just
Right.
within my
Yeah.
Cardano space that actually to go to a wider crypto learning was just exhausting for me. So it wasn't really.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
so at the moment, I'm a bit more laser focused. I'm sure I'll come out of that at some point and I can get back out into these wider groups. But yeah, at the moment, I've just like absorbing the amount of new releases in Cardano Network so I can then relay them onto you is a full-time job. So,
I can well believe it. Yeah.
yeah.
Great. Right. Well, I'm gonna make an action to drop Dennis an email.
Superb.
So,
Love you, Archie. You're a star. Thank you. So, in fact, I'm going to just drop the itinerary into this chat as well, then I don't have to jump around. So, yes, we covered SPO bonds. So we're going to start pushing now the pool, trying to get the message out to anybody and everybody. Next, yes, so we've talked about converting your EQT to BT tokens. So, Paul, I know you need to get that done. Then we've got Harry on the call today. Everyone say hi, Harry. Harry's a good friend of mine who has come out of the Genius U community as well. So if you haven't met him yet, he's of a like mind. He's a very accomplished enterprise advisor. So has a model for recognizing the intangible value of a company, measuring its assets, its resources, its soft skill set, and really producing a valuation on businesses and things like that. He's taken me through a stake pool incubator program, which has been very useful in framing and forging some of these ideas and actually getting me to implement them, which has been very useful. And he's particularly interested in DJed and Shen today, which is the biggest bit of news coming out of the Cardano ecosystem. So I know we've covered it in the last couple of weeks, but it's actually live. They nailed their targets, did what they promised, and went live in time. So I'm going to get up the DJed.xyz website, or web app, I should probably call it. So you'll hear about web apps and DApps, which are decentralized applications. And the difference between a web app and a decentralized application, a WAP and a DAP, is that with a web application, all the code sits in a large hosting environment like Amazon, and all your data sits in a database, which also sits in Amazon. And so any information that you put into a website, like Facebook, Google, even Spotify and things like that, PayPal, all that sits in resources that are outside of your control and are in the control of large organizations. A DApp is the new wave that's coming, where the holding of that data, and it's particularly relevant to finance because, you know, financial information about you is crucial, it's critical, and people will try their utmost to get hold of that information, as some of us know. So we have to protect ourselves, and the best way of doing that is by having self-custody of our data and of our financial assets. And so a decentralized application is about putting your data into your own wallet, your own secure vault. So not sitting in Facebook's database, but it's sitting in your vault, and you control that. And you're the only one who can release access to data from that vault. And so you're taking self-sovereignty over your information, over your private information, which is a big change. So a DApp is where we want to move towards. And that's really the Web 3 world versus the Web 2 world. Web 2, you gave your data over to somebody else who exploited it. Web 3, you'll be able to retain all your data, and you can choose where you want to make money from that data, because people will pay you for your data. At the moment, all that money is going to big operators, FANG as they're called, Facebook, Apple, Netflix, Google. Instead now, you can retain it, and you'll have options, growing opportunities in the future to monetize your own data, because people will pay for access to your brain. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Sorry, Jed, COTI. So, any questions at any point? This is a workshop, so do interrupt me. Do ask me to go over things. Help me be better. So, yeah, Carol, absolutely. Back you 100%. We need to get to the bottom of that problem on your machine at the moment, and yeah, hit me up in direct messages if you want to. I'll see what I can help with. So DJed and Shen, these are these are financial instruments that are decentralized in nature. So one of the major problems in the modern world is that monetary policy is controlled by governments. So at the moment, the United States is the reserve currency. They hold all the power. They can print the money, and they determine basically by their monetary policy how much of that money is in circulation. And so when they need more money because they're spending too much, they can just print more. And so when a crisis comes along, like a global pandemic, then every government just prints more money so that they can pay for stuff to make sure to see themselves through. However, when that happens, what they're doing is actually just devaluing the money in your pocket. So where you've worked hard for 40 years, you've seen your pension pot grow, suddenly that is dropped by 20, 30, 40, 50% in a very few short of years, just by the actions of your governments. So this is a problem because you can't blame them for it necessarily. You can't even hold them to account for it because you're at their mercy. So instead, the idea is that we move our monetary policy from the hands of governments and puts it in the hands of the individual. And so this DJed stablecoin is one of the rungs on the ladder towards achieving that. So in this token, the monetary policy is not controlled by any one human. It's been written into code, so it's been designed by a collaboration of ideas of thinkers. That policy has been written into an algorithm and written onto the blockchain. And when that's written onto the blockchain, it can never be changed so long as everybody is referring to that same point in the blockchain. And so the benefit of that is that It's public information, so anybody can check to see whether the application that you're using has been tampered with to use a different part of the blockchain or not follow that policy that was written initially, and can create another DApp that will reference that same portion of the blockchain. So even if the developers of this platform, this website here, DJed.xyz, become rogue and they decide that they want to change the monetary policy, they will have to submit new code to the blockchain, change their application, and then they can start to maybe print more JED on a different mechanism. But because it's a decentralized application, they've already handed over the code to public domain. Then anybody can create a DApp that will reference the original code, and so our original policies will be honored and maintained. And whenever you sign a transaction in your wallet, you are referring back to that original smart contract that you subscribe to. So as some background information about some of the inner workings of the token, the coin, and we've gone over the past couple of weeks about some of the mechanics and the maths behind the algorithms that form the stability in this token. It's complicated. I'm not an expert, and I don't think anybody else in the world is yet, really. But what we're trying to get to a point is that we have a stable coin which holds its value, pegged its value to whatever is the reserve currency at the time. US dollar is the current reserve currency. So that's the largest, most powerful country in the world. That's why it's called reserve. So everything is based in dollars. Everything is based off the price of a dollar. And so we create a stable coin that's pegged to that dollar value. And so the JED token should always be $1 in value. If you're looking at charts elsewhere and you're seeing the price fluctuate, then that's an indication that things are going wrong in this ecosystem, in this smart contract. And so that's something to look at, to keep an eye on if you become a holder of the JED stablecoin. And the stability is created by what's called a reserve token. And the reserve token in the case of the JED ecosystem is called Shen. Now, if you are an investor or a trader or something like that, then you're looking for a stable coin that you can use as your shelter from volatility. So you will be holding, say, you're an investor, you've got $1,000 worth of Shen. You see a good buying opportunity, you'll exchange your JED, you've got $1,000 of JED. You'll be able to exchange your JED for another token, so maybe Bitcoin, when the price is on the way up. And when you think the price is on the way down, you can sell your Bitcoin back for JED, and that will still be around $1 value. And so you can then buy in again and take advantage from that rise and fall of the markets. So that's the functionality you want out of JED if you're a trader. On the other hand, if you are a speculative investor and you're looking for a growth token, then you might choose to invest in Shen, because Shen is used to pay for the stability in the JED token. So they are related to each other. And the mechanism for controlling the value of the JED token and pegging it to the dollar is by creating and burning of this Shen stablecoin. Now, the idea is that as more demand for JED comes up, there'll be more demand for Shen, and the Shen token will rise and be more volatile than the JED token, because it's the one that has to raise the value of JED. Then you'll be altering the number of Shen in the world, and so the value of the Shen will decrease or increase to make the value of JED stay stable. Now, at this point in the bear market, bottom of the bear market, it could be a very good time to launch a stable coin, because you've probably boiled off all the volatility that would be in the markets, in the crypto markets in particular at the moment. And so buying in now, when everything should be cheap in relation to the dollar, is probably a good time. So if you were buying Shen, the expectation is that from this point, markets will rise and the Shen token will rise in value accordingly. So that's where you're being a speculative investor. And as an indication of the sort of adoption rate of a stablecoin and the power that a stablecoin can have, we'll look at the figures for the past 2 days. We've now got $1.8 million worth of DJed stablecoin in the market. Which 2 days ago there was 0, so now there's 1.8 million, which is a good rate of growth. And in collaboration with that DJed token, there's had to be created $22 million worth of Shen token. So altogether into that ecosystem has flooded 24 million dollars worth of asset. So that's moved from other markets into this stable coin, and that's an indication then of the sort of the move that can be created by a stable coin as it rises. Now there are risks involved in any investing. The technology is young. It has been well tested. There's been a replica of it running on a different blockchain called Ergo, and that token was called Sigma USD, and that managed to maintain its peg to the dollar despite a 90% market drop that it was able to ride through. So its reserve token and its stablecoin were able to keep the peg to that dollar throughout. Now, if you were an investor in the reserve token on the Sigma USD and you've lived through that 85% drop, then the value of your Shen token has dropped at least 85-90%. And so you've lost out as an investor if you were bought at the top. If you were a holder of the DJed, of the Sigma USD, that stablecoin, then you haven't lost any. So that's a different, your risk profile will play into what side of that equation you're playing it by into. So if you are looking to get involved, you can come in now and look at the DJed stablecoin. So you can see here, we've got a 630% reserve ratio, which means that you've got 6.3 times the number of Shen, the value in Shen tokens as you do in DJed tokens. And so that over collateralization is used to create the stability in the DJed token. And the design of this Shen reserve token is that it will always be within the band of between 400% and 800% over collateralization of the DJed token. So there's always going to be between 4 and 8 times more dollar value in the Shen reserve as there is in the DJed. So that's where all the volatility will be as the demand for DJed goes up. The demand for Shen will have to go up to keep that collateral within that band. If people start burning their DJed, so when you burn your DJed, you're effectively you buy DJed with ADA and you get ADA back from selling your DJed on this platform. And so depending on which side of the equation you want to be in, you can either be a stablecoin investor or a Shen investor. I've gone in on the Shen side because I think that the market will rise from here, but that's my behavior. Don't follow me unless you've done your own research and are of a like mind. So that is one way to get involved. You can come onto the website, you can go to the DJed stablecoin side, and you can exchange some of the ADA you have for the stablecoin DJed. So you can mint DJed. That's where you're exchanging ADA for DJed. Or if you're already holding some DJed, then you can burn it and get some ADA back out. And so you can keep an eye on the value of DJed versus ADA as well. That's another investment strategy you can look at. And if ADA has gone massively up in value, then you might want to exchange some of that DJed token to get more ADA back out of it than you would have when you bought in. So that's one way you can do, which is a bit more predictable and stable, even though it's crypto, so everything is massively volatile in comparison to stocks, shares and bonds and all the rest of financial markets. Or you can go to the Shen reserve side of things, mint and burn Shen. Again, you're exchanging ADA for Shen, but you must acknowledge that the Shen token is being used to stabilize the DJed token, so it will always lose out in terms of market loss. if the value of DJed starts to drop, then the value of Shen will have to drop even faster to be able to combat that drop in DJed. And so the peg on that DJed token is critical, and so Shen will lose out in that case. However, if the demand for DJed is high, everybody wants it, then you can only create more DJed when you've got enough over collateralization in the Shen token, and so the value of it will rise. So that's the sort of economics at play. You can get into whichever side you want, and it's just a case of coming in, minting or burning as you go.
Jonathan,
Yes.
quick question: is buying Shen, does the price of that fluctuate as well?
Yes, exactly. So once you've minted some Shen, say, then you've got opportunities to participate in secondary markets, because both DJed and Shen will be able to buy and sell on decentralized exchanges and on centralized exchanges. So you can go now and buy DJed on Bitrue, which is a centralized exchange, and you can also go and buy Shen and DJed on MinSwap, MuesliSwap, Wing Riders, all these decentralized exchanges on the Cardano blockchain. And you can run your whole other different investment strategies on these secondary dexes as well. You can be swapping your Shen tokens for NMaker tokens and trading them back and forth to make your money. It's all down to the current valuation of DJed impacting the current valuation of Shen, and that is influenced by the value of ADA, and all native tokens are influenced by the value. So yeah, there's a whole load of different economics in play you can go and get invested in and look around at. But yes, you can participate in this platform, DJed.xyz, to create or burn ADA, DJed, and Shen, or you can go into the dexes and participate in any token pairings that you want to. So pretty exciting stuff.
Does that connected tab work for you?
Sorry, you're a bit
connected. Is that
you're a bit muffled. Say that again. Sorry.
yeah, on the top right of that web page?
Yes.
Connected. Does that work for you?
Yes.
Yeah. Operational.
It is. Let me just give me 1 second. I'm gonna I just need to tidy some bits up in my wallet before I reveal it to the video. I did it with can't remember where I held my Shen now. I'll be right with you. 1 sec.
Okay.
Shows how many wallets you got.
Yeah, too many. No, not that one. Might have to refer to my notes. So I'm going to check in. It's in here somewhere. Otherwise, I'll be very upset. So what you need to do is make sure that you've got your DApp connector on. If you're using Eternal Wallet, you need to make sure you need to make sure you've got your DApp connector on. When you then go to connect it, the connected button on DJed. So, dear, where is it? It's been a busy week. Oh, it was Numey, wasn't it? Yes. And then I moved it to... So actually, yeah, what was one of the restrictions of this when it launched was, and it's still the case now, is that it doesn't work with Eternal Wallet. So you have to do it with the with the Numey wallet.
Oh.
So you can use any wallet with any wallet software. So you can run Numey if you have an Eternal wallet. You can run it in Numey as well. And I know, Archie, you were battling this a little bit. There are some technical differences between a Numey wallet and an Eternal one, but they're effectively both referring to the same part of the blockchain that's actually holding your tokens. So Numey just uses a single address to reference your anything in that wallet, whereas the capabilities of the blockchain are actually you can have multiple addresses to look at that single point on the blockchain. And so you can end up with, if you're running both Numey and Eternal against your wallet, you can end up with some tokens showing, more tokens showing in your Eternal than Numey will actually tell you you have. So I would recommend really running Numey just in one wallet and just manage it with Numey from now, and actually run separate wallets for Eternal. I know I do all my wallets in Eternal, but if you want to participate in DJed in the minting and burning, so getting it from the source effectively, rather than buying it from a decentralized exchange, you can set up. I would probably recommend setting up a new wallet using Numey. So getting you a new seed phrase, storing that offline, and then move some ADA into that Numey wallet that you want to participate just in that Shen ecosystem or DJed ecosystem. So you can send over 1,000 ADA from your normal wallet into the Numey one, the new Numey one, and then use that to connect to the DJed website.
So Jonathan, what about the URI? Can you process from the URI? You can do?
No, it's just Numey.
No. Right.
So I have a Numey wallet. Oops, let me get that now for you. Screen share, DJed, go live. So when I come into, say, the DJed stablecoin, and I look to connect my wallet in Eternal, see I've got here, let me simplify this a bit. I've got my Numey wallet. Then you can see this button here. That's my DApp connector. So I'm actually managing a wallet that I created with Numey, but I'm actually managing it through Eternal. So I've got the equivalent balance here, 90 ADA, in my actual Numey wallet, which is this one here. So it's not showing me. This is what I was talking about. It's the Numey wallet here is not showing me my actual ADA balance because I've played with it in Eternal as well. So I don't know whether that's perhaps what happened to you, Archie, but yeah, this can be an issue. Now to solve it, all you need to do. Yours was URI, okay, and that could be the same thing again. URI is supposed to be able to handle all addresses, but yeah, there are some complexities there. So to fix it, one quick way of fixing it is to use the send all feature of the wallet, to send it from the wallet back into itself, using Numey or whichever wallet you've got has a send all feature, and that will then put all your assets in that wallet onto the top tier address, which is the one that Numey references. and all the other wallets reference most easily. So if Euro has got confused, and if everything's back at that top address, it'll see it again cleanly. But regardless, all these bits of software, Numey, Yoroi, Eternal, Daedalus, all they're doing is looking at a point on the blockchain that you actually are in control of. So you've got the keys, you've got the seed phrase to be able to make changes to that part of the blockchain, and you can use these bits of software, these wallet software, to implement those changes. Your money's not sitting in Eternal or Numey or Yoroi, it's sitting on Cardano, sitting on the blockchain. And that's a better way of thinking about it than I've got my money in my wallet. It's actually sitting on the blockchain, and I'm just using a particular bit of software to look at the blockchain and tell me what's there. But we can always go back to source to check it and create transactions to manipulate and change it. As long as we can sign, that's the important thing with your seed phrase or your key pairs. So if I go to DJed now and click, did I switch that on? Yeah, I switched on the DApp connector. So back in DJed, refresh the page. I'm already connected. So if I try to, I think I can disconnect from here. Yeah, I'm not massively familiar with Numey wallet.
Go into settings.
Is it settings? Oh, that was it. Whitelisted sites. If I X that, then that should have removed my connection to. There we go. So this is what you should be seeing, Dinesh. And then I can click Connect Numey Wallet. It'll ask me to sign a what I believe is a SIP30 request, just providing access. So no, I haven't signed anything with my passphrase to enable transactions to happen. I've just said you're allowed to connect to this DApp connector, and then once it says connected, I can then participate in playing with it. So it's recognizing my balance is 6 ADA here. If I try and buy in, there's a limit. The minimum you can buy in this platform at the moment is 5,000 if you want to get in on the DJed side of minting. So that probably cuts out an awful lot of the Cardano community, because 5,000 ADA is significant investment for people.
Yeah.
And so that's why they've also provided liquidity by minting DJed and putting it straight onto the exchanges. So if 5,000 is above your speculative investment limit for this opportunity, then you can come to something like MinSwap. Search for the DJed token.
I bought some DJed and Shen on Beetroot this week.
Oh, you did? Okay.
It's just £50 worth.
Okay, cool. So they're sitting on an exchange in your exchange wallet, and you can then trade with them quite easily or do whatever you want. If you're going to hold them long term, then you should be able to send them out of Bitroot into your Eternal wallet, and then that way you have self-sovereignty, and if Bitroot has financial difficulties, your money's safe.
Good idea.
So here you can see it buying it from a decentralized exchange. So again, you're talking to smart contracts, not to a private entity. A centralized exchange decides exactly what happens with the tokens coming in and out of their software. And that's powerful and useful in some cases. So when the FTX collapse happened, there was a whole load of fraudulent activity going on the networks. And so Binance, was it FTX? Yeah, I think it was around FTX or maybe the Mango exploit. Anyway, Binance, because they're a centralized exchange, were able to cease a certain type of transaction from happening on their exchange. And so that's them then deciding what actually happens in terms of transactions, which is powerful and useful because it stopped fraud. And currently we trust Binance as an entity. They're a good operator in the space. But if that is a lesser known exchange, who actually has some financial problems, like FTX, even though that was one of the largest exchanges in crypto. They decide monetary policy, they decide their reserves. So if they're making bad decisions, then that whole thing can collapse and take your money with it. If it's in a self-sovereign wallet, you're deciding, you are the bank. You can't lose your money other than by mistakes or someone stealing it from you. And so, yeah, it won't be frittered away by somebody printing more, or well, that's not quite true. But yeah, this is the better way to do it, and this is the direction we want to head. So on a decentralized exchange, you're not dealing with a centralized exchange, a private entity. You're dealing with smart contracts that have been written, publicly shown. And so in this instance, you could go into DJed, pair and swap some of your ADA for some JED directly on the Cardano blockchain. So you'll be sending in, so I could send in 469 ADA or 400 ADA, and in return, that's like 158,000. That is not JED. So this is where you're entering a bit of a rogue space. People will release tokens that look and smell and taste a bit like JED, but it's not JED. So I've picked up some alternative JED Micro U. I'm not even sure what that is. I'm imagining it's like cents on the dollar. So there's actually 158 JED, but these are JED Micro. So that's like millionths of a cent, millionths of a dollar value. I don't know, a bit odd.
Hey, Jonathan.
Hi.
I'm going to have to shoot in a minute.
Okay.
But that's been brilliant. Thank you. Very helpful. So the question I've got, so there was two left, which was, so if you've got some funds in the pool, in the stake pool, can we use those funds to buy the Shen with or the JED with, or does that then take it out of the stake pool?
Yeah, so whenever you're exchanging ADA for something else using a wallet that's staked, then you no longer have that ADA staked to the pool. So it does decrease the amount that's staked to your stake pool, and you won't earn interest off that ADA anymore. But of course, you've gained a token that you consider to be more valuable at that point in time anyway. So if you're buying JED or buying Shen, you're doing it for a particular reason, and so you're willing to lose the interest you're getting on your ADA in exchange for the opportunity that JED or Shen raises for you. So yes, you're effectively swapping those tokens.
Okay, so the JED then is about the risk. Yeah, so you have a stable coin. So if ADA goes down, then but you've got it in JED, it doesn't matter.
That's the idea.
The Shen is the opportunity. Okay, I get that. And then the other one was, you were talking about Eternal, and I know I've been doing some of the other Luca's, COTI for non-technical people.
Yeah.
And they were going through Eternal. What happens with Ledger X then? Is that compatible?
Yes. So
compatible with ADA, is that compatible with JED or Shen?
So I haven't got a Ledger wallet, hardware wallet myself, but I think they support native tokens, so you can have native tokens in those wallets as well. I'm not sure what is on there and what's not. Certainly ADA is. But yeah, the extent that the other tokens are, that's where I start to get a bit fuzzy in terms of hardware, because instead of running a hardware wallet, which kind of looks like a USB key that you stick into your machine, I actually run an air-gapped laptop. So I've disabled all network activity. I run it offline, and that's where I create my transactions. So it's a different setup. But the ideal is to use a hardware wallet like Ledger.
And so is Eternal a software wallet?
Eternal is a soft wallet, yes. So it runs as a browser extension. That's the best way to run it. You can run it straight from a web app, but you want to really get the browser extension and run that, and then you can also use Ledger through Eternal as well. So you can back up your soft wallet, Eternal interface, to interact with all these dApps and whatnot. Just sign the transactions with your hardware wallet, your Ledger wallet. So that's another way of doing
Okay.
these things.
All right, that's been brilliant. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, Harry, as ever.
Yeah, and that was awesome. I don't use awesome very often, so let's just say that was an above average walkthrough. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No, that was awesome.
No problem. And there are recordings of the previous sessions as well, where we go deep dive, and I'm even less coherent in those than this one. So you feel free to watch that.
That'd be great. All right, nice to meet you, everybody. I've got to drop out.
Thank you.
Cheers, Harry.
See you soon.
Bye bye.
Have a great weekend.
Thanks.
Yeah. So does that cover Jed and Shen? One thing is another thing that probably would be useful for Harry as well. But there are multiple ways to get involved in an exciting happening on the network. So Jed and Shen is all buzz at the moment, but of course the people who have created the code, who've written that implementation of Jed and Shen, are COTI. COTI are an Israeli-based firm. They run their own blockchain that's not Cardano, and they are a very corporate-friendly company. So all participants in the COTI network have been KYC'd and anti-money laundered from the get-go. They're fully compliant with as many jurisdictions as possible, and that's part of the reason why IOG chose COTI as the ones to create the Jed stablecoin, because they want this Jed stablecoin to be fully trusted by the highest levels of government and finance industry, so that it has the best chance of adoption and being used as a functional token in our modified economy down the road. So COTI may be a company that you want to look at as being worth investing in. And so they've released this product. So far it's been flawless. It's been a really smooth launch in comparison to some other launches on Cardano. So they obviously know what they're doing. I've been listening to the CEO, Bahar Shahaf, forget his full name, talking about his intentions for the business, where they're going, the sort of things they're involved in elsewhere, and I see them as a good company to have as an investment opportunity. And so it could be that you actually buy the COTI token, which is their own token. It's not ADA, it's not Jed, it's not Shen, it's their own token. But I predict they will benefit from the success of Jed and Shen. It will reflect in an increase in the price of their token, and so I've actually bought some COTI as well. And as an example of mitigating risk, that's a token that's been around for several years. It's got its own chain. It's got its own economy revolving around it. It's entirely separate from Cardano. But its success of their implementation of the Jed ecosystem on Cardano will probably reflect in the price of their own COTI token. And so you could buy that as an uncorrelated investment to Jed and Shen, but still benefit from the rise in value of Jed and Shen, or the swell of inflow of capital into that Jed Shen ecosystem. And the COTI price is down 84% from its all-time high, and so now is a good time to buy if you're confident in COTI's future. COTI's on sale. You could go and get some COTI now for cheaper than you could 6 months ago. And that might be, another way of looking at actually an investment opportunity and where the outskirts are that you could take part in. So yeah, that was COTI. I thought it was worth mentioning. But let's move on. Any other questions on that? Anything in all of that stuff? if not, I can talk about another launch this past week on Cardano, and this one has been as if not more highly anticipated. It's Liquid Finance, and Liquid Finance are the guys who did an airdrop, the largest airdrop to date of any token on Cardano, and what that's looking like now, in light of their launch, is that perhaps that airdrop and the value of the token had a whole load of fluff in it, because the news running up to their launch, the token price started to climb again, and then as soon as the product launched, the prices dropped, and that can often happen. It's that whole buy the rumor, sell the news. So you buy if there's rumors of something exciting happening, and then wait for the price to rise. Then as soon as the actual news comes out about the event happening, sell, because chances are once the news is out, everyone will sell anyway, because there's no new developments after that point. And so that's kind of happened with Liquid Finance. They launched their platform. It's not overwhelming in terms of its user interface, but in terms of its potential down the road, it's a very, very positive sign. So they've got a nice website. This is the website. When you actually click through to their app, it's a bit lackluster. So it's an early product. It doesn't really give you much information about what it's capable of, and there's very little feedback from, like, there's no little tooltips to tell you what on earth's going on some of these figures and values. I can borrow stuff, I can supply stuff, so it's a lending borrow platform. But beyond that, you really have to dig into the docs to try and get an idea of what they've built. Ultimately, it's about creating a lending borrowing platform that you can put anything in, and so you could put some ADA into there, lend it to somebody, and be earning interest on it, and then also stake the value of that ADA and earn staking rewards off that as well. So it's a way of doubling up your the value in the ADA that you hold, which is very, very innovative, very cool. But their user interface and their implementation has not blown anybody away, I don't think. So their token price has dropped. At peak, I think it was up to like 100 and I can't remember what the peak of their token was, but it was probably 7, 8 times like value has dropped since the airdrops happened to now their product launch. So yeah, it's part of the speculation in the market. It's very difficult to know what's going to do well and what's not. However, long term, I'm still confident that Liquid Finance will do really well. They've got some innovative ideas in their products. They have launched on the day or the time frame that they said they would launch, and it's working. It's functional. They've been audited by. So if we go back to their homepage, you can see that their audits have been carried out by Vacuum Labs, which is a wider, very, very well-known audit team. So they've gone through their smart contract code, pointed out vulnerabilities, and then they've gone on to be fixed. M Labs is another sort of very strong Cardano development house, really, really comfortable with Haskell and Plutus. So they've gone through the smart contracts and audited them as well. So you've got there an industry-wide expert and a Cardano native expert, both auditing the code to check for vulnerabilities, and they've come through to product launch knowing that those audits have been done. Gives you a lot more confidence in the platform. Those audits are not cheap, so they've invested a lot of money in getting those audits done, and so that gives you more confidence in their actual technical implementation. Their graphical user interface and how easy it is to use are all important things to get right as well, and that's the area that needs work in my mind. But yeah, long term, I'm sure they'll grow rapidly and do well. I'm not sure how much value has flooded into their part of the ecosystem since launch. So I don't even know those figures, but those are the sort of things you could go and find out. But yeah, Liquid Finance launched well, which is another good thing for the ecosystem. Bit more news. So Margot picked up last week on there being a degradation in performance of the Cardano blockchain a couple of weeks ago, and that was where 50% of the nodes running the blockchain validating blocks self-restarted over a sort of 2-minute window, which had never happened before on Cardano. So it is a vulnerability. Everybody investigated, and last week there was nobody knew exactly. No one could reproduce the problem, and there wasn't awareness of it. However, this week, different story. They've been able to reproduce it. They've written a patch for it and released it on chain already. So everybody is running upgrades at the moment. I completed mine last night, so we're now running on version 1.35.5 of the Cardano node, which means that we're no longer vulnerable to that degradation of the chain. Degradation just means in terms of the speed that it can process blocks. So we never stopped minting blocks. It just slowed down over a 2-minute window, and that's big news in Cardano. Reality is on other chains, which are far more centralized in nature, fewer operators, not as robust code by any measure, like Solana. They'll have an outage for several hours, and it will require everybody to collaborate to reboot the machine to actually get the network running again. In this instance, it all happened in an automated fashion. Everybody's nodes saw the problem, not everybody, half the people's nodes saw a problem and restarted automatically, which is what the system is designed to do. So it handled it well, but even then, since then, we found the issue, written a release, and I think it's as of yesterday's stake pool operator call with IOG, there was something like 40% of operators had already upgraded their nodes to the patched version. So again, that's just proof of a well-constructed decentralized network really can push the boundaries of software investigation, debugging, fix implementation, and rollout. In the space of less than 2 weeks, we've got a patched node version running live across 40% of nodes, which is just very cool. A bit more confidence in the Cardano ecosystem. Now, anybody that took part in the Genius X ISPO, you have an opportunity to go and mint an NFT, which will get you a higher yield on your token rewards through staking and other things. So that NFT is available to mint now. It has been for the last month or so. I think we've got another couple of months before that mint stops. But if you participated in the ISPO, and if you're in there for like, I think it was like 12 weeks or something like that, or maybe even be longer, then you can pick up a Titan NFT, and that's the one I qualified with, and that will give me the best rate of best booster rate on whatever staking I do use it for. So the link to go and grab that is genius-x.co, and I need to look for the Genius X NFT. Did I miss it? Maybe I missed it. Look from the top. There we go. So yes, you can go to Genius X NFT and mint your NFT if you are eligible, if you took part in the ISPO. And it's free, effectively free to mint that NFT. So you'll pay your transaction fee, you hand over 2 ADA when you go to mint, and then you get that 2 ADA back along with your NFT into your wallet. So all you're doing is paying a transaction fee of like 0.4 ADA, I think it was. And you have an NFT that's got some utility. And of course, you don't have to ever use that utility. You can just sell the NFT on a secondary market. These are the NFTs that are available. So I qualified for a Titan with a plus 10% weighting booster. So if I don't participate in that, in staking those tokens, I won't have use for my NFT, so I might sell it on at some point in the future. yeah, that's the sort of stuff you can get involved in if you're aware of it. And we've been talking about Genius Yield and Genius X. Genius X is like the launch pad for startup projects being incubated by the Genius Yield team, who are a very strong team on Cardano. I've got the last few weeks of Cardano Q&A, these sessions, actually up on YouTube now. I haven't got last week's yet, but the previous ones are up there now. So if you do want to catch up, they are on YouTube. They're not all bookmarked yet, but we are slowly plowing through the backlog of getting the previous ones bookmarked. So if there's a particular topic you remember hearing about in a conversation, or you want to point somebody at something that you have heard in one of these calls, you can go to YouTube, find the bookmark for it, and it'll take you through to it. And the YouTube link is YouTube/@fluid7, I think works for us now. And then there is a playlist specifically for the Cardano Q&A calls. I've dropped that link in the chat as well. I'm writing through the news now. So we have had a couple of good bits of press. So this is sort of activity that I've been talking about, or that you were hoping to see, Archie, that is starting to happen now. So we had a Machiavellic game. They have released a news article on us, an interview with me that we did a couple of months ago. They've slowly released an interview with each of the stake pool operators in their who are partners in their game. Machiavellic is a massively multiplayer online role-playing game that has play-to-earn mechanics. So if you are a gamer, you can get into this world, grow your assets, get into battles, and you'll earn tokens that are then exchangeable for real-world value as part of your gaming activity. So quite, it's a whole new world that's starting to launch, and Machiavellic are one of the strongest teams building play-to-earn games on the Cardano blockchain. So you can go and check out that article on the website.
Jonathan, can you play the Machiavellic game now, or is still we have to wait? I think.
Yeah, it's not launched yet.
Not that out.
Yeah, so they're still building. They've got lots of artwork and backstory being written. Their website is filling up with with a whole load of really good content. So they've got a very good creative team. But yes, there's no playable demo yet or anything like that.
I see they're coming out with another NFT or something.
Yeah, a boarding pass or something like that. I tried to look at it last night, but I ran out of steam. But yeah, they've apparently got another NFT launch, which will be which will give you more functionality in the game itself. So I'm not a heavy gamer, and I don't see myself having the time to do any heavy gaming. So I'm probably not too interested in buying assets now that will give me a better gaming experience. So I probably won't buy into this. However, the assets I have bought from them, I do plan to sell on to the gaming community when the game launches. So you can use that as an investment strategy as well. But yeah, buy NFT pass. I think the NFT pass is the one they're talking about as the new thing. Still down as coming soon. But yeah, there's loads to read on here now. Go and have a look around if you're interested in that side of things. So the last week as well, we got approved for the shortlist in the Teddy Swap fair initial stake pool offering. So there were 100 pools who qualified out of the 3,500. So we got into the shortlist, which is great. However, then there were 25 pools taken into the next tier, 11 of which actually started in the live ISPO. So we didn't get into that final 25, and so far 11 of those are actually live and operating. So we've gone as far as we can in terms of taking part in that ISPO, but it was great to be recognised at this stage already, and yeah, because we were aware of it and we talked about it, several of us got into the Discord, onto Telegram, and should be qualifying for an airdrop in the future. I don't know if it's happened yet. I haven't been able to keep an eye on it. I don't know if any of you guys have. But there is an airdrop opportunity there. Paul?
Yeah, I've been watching it, but no, he's not received anything yet.
Okay. So,
Got hyped over.
yeah, we'll keep an eye on it, see what happens. But yeah, so the pools that, or there's one pool who has made it onto that live list that I rate very highly. That's Vroom Pool, VROOM. So if you do have a separate wallet that you like to stake to things of interest to you, you could go and get involved in that fair ISO over there. With Vroom Pool, that's the guy I'd recommend. He is an educator. He's based in North America, and he was part of the ISPO, the stake pool incubator that Harry ran. Thank you again for that, Harry. And he's just a really good guy, mission focused, really helping out education. Carpool is his website, and on there's a whole load of educational material in and around Cardano and crypto and things like that. So he's worth checking out, and his ticker is Vroom if you did want to stake with him. Yeah, there's another guy in there I know who's on stage with me in London, ATM. But I think he's not in that top 11, I don't think. But if they do open up those reserve pools, which looks like it'll probably happen, then ATM's another pool, another guy you consider. He releases news, article, media items. He creates videos out of blog posts, and it gets posted on Cardano Media's website, ADAPULSE. Forgot the name for a minute. ADAPULSE. That's another good source of news in the Cardano ecosystem. In fact, that's probably worth sharing here. Let me try and find it for you. There we go. So ADAPULSE is a good source of news, and it's got a good UI. It's nice, user friendly content. Not too heavy, but it does go into some meat as well, and you always get to see the most famous people. So Patrick Tobler there from the NMaker team, and Bullish Dumpling, who's an excellent Twitter advocate to the Chinese community, but is based in London. She's great. Love the way she presents and talks. She's also joined DC Spark as their media person, and she's a Cardano Foundation ambassador as well. And next bit of news is, yes, of course, the Astarter partnership is now in full swing, and they've tweeted out about us this last week, and also released an article on their Medium as well. So if you're interested in reading some shiny marketing press for Fluid Pool, you can get to that from our website as well. So we've partnered with Astarter. There should have been a link to their original Medium post here. I don't think I put it in the body, but I'll do that. I'll update that. You can get to the article here. Fluid Pool. It's posted 3 days ago, and they talk us up and vice versa. So do go here and give it a clap if you're a Medium reader. The claps help exposure. And again, that's a sort of activity. Any social shares you want to do, any thumbs up on YouTube, any subscribes, any likes, any retweets, all these little silly little bits of social activity help raise the profile of the pool and hopefully attract delegators, so that long term we are sustainable, even when without our whale resident burrowed whale at the moment. Cool. Well, there we go. Bang on 11. I rattled through a whole load of news there. Drained myself. Bored of my own voice. So I'm sure you guys are as well. Any last questions, or should we call it a day?
That was great, Jonathan. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Yeah, and Carol, do hit me up in DMs if there's anything you think I can help with, or any questions you have that I might be able to lend to. Let's try and get you sorted.
Sure. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thank you for that call.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Jonathan. That's
All right. Good to see you all. Have good weeks.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank
See
you.
you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.